Promote your brand here at Viral Hip Hop News. Hit me, Sam Ant, at dlsmediainc1@gmail.com. dlsmediainc1@gmail.com. Let's go.
Be said or a photograph and be inspired by that. So the Obamas, as far as inspiring, just amazing. And my pops had a ton of love for that aspect. He also had enough respect for the Obamas, for President Obama. At least 15 times he was invited to the White House, and he never went until the very last invite at the end of the presidency. And the reason was, he said, I don't want the shit I'm out here talking to get on him, and now he's got to deal with, well, why is Dick Gregory up in the White House? He said, I like to operate in my own space, and I don't want to bring another brother down. But we also understood that, Democrat or Republican is Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola. The system's designed so no real changes happen. I remember my dad and I meeting with Nelson Mandela in Pretoria, South Africa, not long after Mandela had become president, and just seeing the entire white infrastructure around him and saying, most, struggling Black South Africans think money's going to start falling from the sky. And, and they'd be right to think that, hey, it's over. We got one of our brothers is in. But if your brother is in that same system, and that system, the systemic racism of that system, these things have to turn slowly. So the presidency is like a cruise ship with 50 different people driving it. One person we hold accountable for it. So we knew no immediate and meaningful long-term change. And like we found out with the last president, with Trump, you can change whatever you want by executive order. It's just going to get changed right back the moment you're out. You need the people to change with you. And I think the Obama legacy will really show that it's done a lot of good for the people to start to change. What Barack Obama showed us is something that most, of us can't relate to. What a post-racism, post-racial, brother looks like. Because of the way Barack was raised, I would say this to my dad all the time. If I go into Neiman Marcus and I'm wearing a beautiful tie and the white cat working security looks at me twice, he might be admiring my tie. But just the baggage I have as a Black man, I'm like, oh, damn, this cat's judging me. He's watching me already. And really, he's like peeping my swag like, oh, you're put together. And so that baggage that I definitively have as a Black man, because I've been exposed to it. And it's like, if every time you see your pet, you hit them or kick them, that's what they're conditioned for. So Barack Obama, because of, being raised by the white side of his family, the time he spent in, I believe, Indonesia being raised, he really had the opportunity to kind of shake some of the baggage. I wouldn't say at all he shaped his Blackness. As my dad would say, Barack Obama, he's out here being super Black. And super Black for Dick Gregory was not a complexion thing. It was how you live your life, how the love you have for your people is what he would refer to as super Black. I know for a fact, if I was the first Black president, I'm not inviting folks over for a fried chicken and peanut summit. I'm not living every day. Like, it was great to see that, because I'm saying all the baggage, I would have tried to be all proper and, and feeling the weight of all these Black people are looking for me to fix these things, knowing that no one person can fix it. So my dad had a lot of, criticism, and he's probably on the record on Obama. But he had that too. I mean, my dad's gone hard on, Magic Johnson, Oprah Winfrey. Then he sees his folks and they give him the world's biggest hug because they know, Dick, this is your job. You're a social critic. You're supposed to have your foot in our ass, but we love you for it because we know what you're saying is rooted in love. Oprah Winfrey invited my dad to her home in California. She was giving away, it was her Legends Ball. And I won't use the colorful language he used, but he was basically saying, hell no, he's not going. All the beep, beep, beep. I talked about that beep, beep, beep. And so there's no way I'm going. So we convinced him, because all of his friends were going. We're like, Pop, just go. It'll be special. So he said, all right, I'll go, but I'm not going to eat shit. I'm not going to drink shit. And so then I got the videos back of him there, and he was drinking his ass off, eating his ass off, dancing and having a good old time. So it's one thing to really, as an activist, to speak out on things, hold people accountable. But you got to have balance. You got to there's too many, most of the serious activists I know don't live long because, we're mammals, 605 muscles, 202 bones. If you're growling 24/7, your body's not responding. Your physiology is not responding favorably to that. So you have to balance it out. Work, but get off the front line and relax so you can go back rested. As we hear everyone talking about, and I don't get caught up because this is white folk stuff. Oh, this person's woke, this person. That is really us. This is other people again. Like Black folks didn't decide we're going to start being African Americans. That was a handful of folks, mostly white folks, that said, okay, this is the new title. Okay, we're no longer going to use the quote unquote N word. My dad and I were in Detroit when some pretty high ranking Black folks had a mock funeral for the word nigger, and they had a casket. I mean, it was kind of embarrassing, actually. They had a casket, and they were, all right, we're going to put this word to rest. We're going to bury this word. And me and my dad were in Detroit on other business. We definitively were not there for that. But we connected with some of these cats later. You've never heard so many niggas in your life at the reception. The niggas who just came from burying nigger were saying nothing but niggas. So it's like, you got to take a step back and just don't get caught up in the brinksmanship, the semantics, just stay steady. Don't just do stuff for what you think other folks want to hear. Do real stuff that moves the needle. My dad would always say, I'm not talking to these young folks about pull their pants up. We're dealing with, cops killing us. The last thing I'm worried about is not that at some point, some of these things might need to be addressed, but that's luxury item. Too often we start thinking like white folks and thinking like the pro-life, pro-death movement, Black folks don't have the luxury to only think about 9-month-old fetuses. We're getting killed out here at 9, 90, and 19. We got to think about saving life across the spectrum. So it's important not to get roped into that. When you hear people, cancel culture, cancel. You can't cancel nobody more than you did with slavery. You can't cancel nobody more than you did with lynching folks. That was cancel culture. Now you got some white grandma that gets caught using the N-word while driving her school bus, and now I'm supposed to feel bad because she lost her job. Teenagers got lynched for less. So at least you breathe and live and go get another job. So I'm not, again, a lot of times that's white folks and their systems trying to change the narrative. Just like I was in Atlanta, the first time, someone violently was taking people. It was during the crack cocaine epidemic, which again, that was a horrible thing. Now heroin is a sickness and a disease. So like how they change things when it's their community as opposed to our community. But it was during the crack cocaine epidemic, and folks were snatching people out of their vehicle. It didn't have a name back then. Then some savvy news producer called it carjacking. And then carjacking became the shit. It was like, okay, this is what we're doing now. We're carjacking. We see it now with the attacks on Asians. Oh, this is, if someone's mentally not adjusted well, all right, this is what Brothers is doing now. We're attacking Asians. And some of this is programming. So we need to unplug and just use our common sense to say that media, and we all now are media. My dad always wanted us to have Black-owned media companies. And so what you brothers are doing is media, but we don't control the platforms. We don't, you may get 1 million likes, but you only get credit for 200,000 likes. We wouldn't know. We don't control these platforms. We don't control these algorithms. A different version of that was when Spike Lee was putting out movies in the 80s. A lot of movie theaters were rigging the system so they would push a button for another movie, and then a Spike Lee ticket would come up, but you were crediting a white film. I mean, the games are, and if you don't understand the system for how they count, how they credit how many people are watching a particular show. That's why I keep telling folks, not only watch the one and only Dick Gregory, rewatch it, watch it again, tell others, because by eyeballs on screen, this is a business. If things do well, you get more of it. Otherwise, it's we tried to do Brother Dick's story. It wasn't viable. It didn't sell well. That's what Malcolm X, they did one story on Malcolm, and then it was done, one and done. I managed my dad's estate, and I made a decision early on. My dad has 16 books and 12 albums. No one person would own all of that. So We carved out certain aspects. So there'll probably be 20 Dick Gregory movies, 20 Dick Gregory stories, each that focus on different parts of his life. And if you don't understand intellectual property and the importance of protecting most of us die, we have a will, and our will covers, tangible, real things. It doesn't cover, theoretical things. And so most of our life, again, with 5G, virtual reality and reality sync up. Half the stuff we're out here building now does not exist in a tangible world, and it has real value to it. I mean, you've seen what some of these early NFTs have sold for. I mean, that's real money. That's not virtual money. That's real money. So it's important that we also, all of us in our phones probably, just in our text messages alone, probably have 10 movies worth of content. We have to protect our content. We have to make sure that there's websites and platforms out here that you can sign up with, that after they verify that you're dead, and it's by a loved one or whoever submitting your death certificate, they then release, okay, send my Dropbox account passcode to person B, send my, iCloud account, because otherwise that stuff's locked and you can, no one can ever get it. The folks who want it can get it, but none of your loved ones can get it. And it was a woman, her husband died, and he had hundreds of videos of their infant child and the husband and the wife playing with the infant child. And she sued Apple trying to get them to unlock his phone. And they never did. They said, look, rules are rules. We understand this situation. But once people out here understand we're unlocking codes, a lot of folks have things on their phone they'd rather not unlock, whether they're alive or dead. So we have to do things to protect our intellectual property, because a lot of us Black folks, we have more intellectual property than physical property.
Absolutely, definitely appreciate it. I want to get your thoughts on, and first off, did your father have a relationship with